In today's video, we're going to be talking about the top 5 things that you need to do before moving here to the Emerald Coast. You're going to want to stick around. Let's get into it. What is going on? It is Andrew and
AJ
with the Emerald Group right here on the Emerald Coast. We are getting calls, texts, and emails of people that are moving here or wanting to move here pretty consistently. So if that sounds like you, go ahead and give us a call, text, or an email, or a carrier pigeon, smoke signal, however you want to get a hold of us.
We are doing videos for you guys everywhere from Pensacola to Panama City Beach twice a week. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ding the bell so that you get notified every time we do another video if you have any questions, real estate related, or just about our area in general.
All right, so the top 5 things that you need to be doing before you move down here. Let's start with number 1. And number 1's a pretty easy one. Go ahead and give us or your favorite real estate professional in the area a call. Whether you're moving here, San Diego, San Francisco, I don't know why San is in my head here, but whatever, Sandestin. Whatever city you guys are moving to, call your preferred realtor out there. The earlier you do that, the better. Even if you're a year out and you're thinking, this is way too early, it's always better to start establishing that relationship. This way you make sure that you guys are vibing correctly and that they are a good fit for what you're needing.
Whenever you're reaching out to your favorite agent or us, whoever it is, they should be providing you with a buyer's consultation. This is going to take you through the process of purchasing. And the reason that we say either with us or with a different agent is because these steps can vary pretty greatly depending on the state that you're in. Florida does things differently from another state, so you're going to want to talk to an agent in that area. Please don't go trying to get real estate advice in one state where the agent is not located. It's 0 out of 10. Don't recommend.
Yeah, and the buyer consultation might not happen if you are a year out, as we mentioned before, but once you get to about that 3 to 6 month period, that's when you should really be sitting down to go through that. If your real estate professional isn't doing a buyer consultation, I would suggest that you ask them to do it because it's extremely helpful for us to be able to narrow down in detail what you're looking for. I know there's a lot of experienced buyers out there that think one quick phone call with, hey, I want a 3-bed, 2-bath in this city, find it for me, is good enough. But unfortunately, that gives you a pretty wide range of things to look for. And it's going to help us out tremendously if we can narrow down even further to like the little details. What kind of kitchen do you like? What kind of upgrades are you liking? Do you like carpet, not carpet? Size of the yard? I mean, we could go on, but that's why a buyer's consult is absolutely necessary.
Speaking of necessary things, our second step in the moving process is getting with a local lender. And I want to kind of emphasize the local part. You don't want to try to use a lender from another state or from wherever you're going to buy. There are so many subtle nuances, especially here in Florida, the difference between buying something super close to the water versus something a little bit more north. They all have different things to consider, and a non-local lender isn't going to know about that. And it could really, really hinder your purchasing process. Not to mention, nowadays, everybody here knows that. So if you put in an offer on a property and because we ask these questions, who's your lender? And you have an out-of-state lender and there's another offer on the table that's exactly the same as yours, but they have a local lender, they're going to go with the one with the local lender because the probability of that one actually making it to the closing table is significantly higher than the one with an out-of-state lender.
And not to say anything bad about any of the big box chains, but they do have a typically lower close rate, particularly in our area because of all the little nuances we have. So please be very careful if you are going to use one of these big bucks. I'm not going to say any of the names. I'm sure there's great lenders and all of them. It's very lender specific when it comes to who can close a deal and who can't. But if it's a big box lender, they don't know about the CCCLs. They don't know the different types of warranted, non-warranted condo tells if you're buying a condo, the type of VA loan that you're buying, where you're buying it. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's actually pretty scary. And the fallout rate that we have from big box lenders, or I should say not local lenders, is extreme. It's disturbingly high. So please try to go local if you can. If you've got a friend or something in the industry and you really, really want to go that route, you can. But just note that there are there's a chance it could fall through at a very inconvenient time and lose a lot of money.
And we'd also like to point out that, while we're saying that it's important to reach out to your real estate agent early on, it's almost equally important to reach out to your lender at that same time. Right after you reach out and you've made that decision, you're like, I'm going to start talking to an agent and start putting things in play, figuring out what I'm going to do. Maybe I'm a year and a half out. That's okay. Reach out to your lender too, because a lot of times you won't know if you've got some skeletons hiding in your closet. Maybe, you missed a couple of payments on your mortgage during COVID or something that, you're thinking, I have all of this money, or I'm making great money and my debts are super low. Maybe you had a case of identity theft and didn't even realize that someone opened up a credit card and you don't even know. So all of these things they will come up, whenever you start the application process for a loan. So it's better to find out earlier rather than later, in case there are things that you need to work on to put you in the best position to purchase.
And if you are curious on which lender to use, it's always best to talk to your real estate professional to see who they suggest. Please keep in mind, a lot of people think that realtors are allowed to get kickbacks from their, partners, whatever. It's actually illegal. We're not allowed to do that. So just note that they're giving you who they think is best for that job. Now, some real estate agents are going to do that based off purely the relationship that they have, but most real estate agents are doing it based on the ease of working with that person and the amount, or I guess percentage of closed loans that they can actually get done. No real estate professional is going to be using a lender that can't close loans, or at least they shouldn't be.
Yeah, that would be a poor call.
All right, number 3 on our list. I know that last one was a little bit of a doozy, kind of a long one. This one's fairly easy, and it is narrowing the location that you would like to live in.
A lot of times we get super wrapped up in beautiful houses. You jump onto Zillow or Realtor.com or even your agent's site.
Just like our page, EmeraldGroupHomes.com.
Just start skirting around the criteria and you're like, oh, but what about over here? What about over here? And we start to see beautiful pictures and we're like, oh my gosh, this house or this condo is so gorgeous and it's in the right price point. But then you realize, oh, but it's an hour away from where I'm going to work, not including, traffic issues during the summer. So it's really, really important that the first thing that you take into consideration is where you want to live. Because if traffic is an issue or where you're going to be most of the time, it's really imperative that you find some place that's going to facilitate a life that you actually enjoy. Because if you love your house, but you hate the location, you're just going to be thinking about moving the entire time. Whereas if you pick the right location and you get a house that's at least like 80% what a perfect house would be, which is actually kind of the top end of what we get when we're looking for houses, period. Even if it's a brand new custom build, the top percentage that it's going to be to your liking is like 80%. So go with that in the location that you want, as opposed to doing the opposite and being like, oh, well, the house is the really important thing. I promise you, location will make all the difference.
This is one of the things that you'll discuss in detail whenever you are doing that buyer's consult in step 1, as we mentioned before. So it's really going to help narrow that down. And if you're still not sure, I know it's difficult for a lot of people when they're watching YouTube videos like this, trying to figure out, is this the right place for me, what have you. If you can afford it, if you've got the time to take off work, fly down a little bit early, a couple of months before, and check out the areas. This isn't a house hunting trip because you're not ready. Unless you are, then that's different. But try to do it a little bit before and really drive through the areas. Spend a day in each area if you can, or half a day, what have you. Go to a restaurant, go do some sort of event and figure out which city is best for you, or a couple of cities.
And 4th on our list is setting up a custom search. This is where we actually start looking at those beautiful houses and the pictures, and we focus in on those and all the details that you want. Maybe you're a little bit older or you have an injury and you don't want a 2-story house. You don't want to be having to deal with those stairs all the time. Or maybe you definitely don't want a pool because you've got really little kids and it just scares you. Or maybe you do want a pool because you've got older kids and you're like, give them something to do.
Wear them out. And this kind of goes all right back into that step number 1 during that buyer consult. Now that you've narrowed down the area, you've got the lender, we've got everything in place. Maybe you even have it narrowed down to a neighborhood. So now we can get hyper specific on exactly what you're looking for. And if you did this early enough, then we've got some time. You could start watching the prices as they go and things like that. And then also, now that we have all the information we need, if it's us or another team or another real estate agent in a different area, what have you, it gives them the opportunity to make sure that they're looking for off-market properties as well. Because please keep in mind that a lot of real estate professionals do a lot of things off-market. There's a lot of rules around it and things like that. Hopefully everybody's doing it the way they should be. But matching up the right person with the right house is what we do. And sometimes our sellers, just like you guys come to us early, our sellers will come to us early. We generally have about a 6-month pipeline, at least on our team, of properties that are going to be coming on at any time. So if we can pair you guys with them, you don't have to worry about competing on the market. The seller gets what they want and it becomes a win-win situation. Then that could definitely be beneficial to you.
And last but not least, number 5 on our list is prepping for your move. So not so much in the sense of getting your belongings together and putting everything in boxes, but just the preparatory planning for the logistics of it. Do you need to sell a house out there? Do you have to wait until your lease is up? Are you trying to, buy out your lease? Do you plan on packing all your things into a vehicle yourself, or do you want to pay somebody? So these are just things to keep in mind so that you know what steps you actually need to take in order to physically move to our area.
Yeah, a lot of times when it comes to moving cross state or cross, even county lines, sometimes the movers are not necessarily ready to go on that same day. At least here in our area, they're generally a couple of weeks behind. So getting that stuff prepped early is good. And then if you have a house to sell, this is another great opportunity. If you didn't feel comfortable with the real estate professional that helped you buy it, or maybe you bought new construction, you didn't have an agent, something like that, and you need help finding somebody to sell that, please keep in mind we do have networks of rockstar agents all across the country. So we can always hook you up with, a rockstar selling agent in that area or listing agent in that area. And for your bonus tip for this video is that right before you move down here, well, actually right when you get here, you should buy a box of sunblock, just a whole box. Look how pale I am. I stay caked up all the time, even in the winter, just lots of sunscreen. You're going to need it. The sun hits differently out here, so I've been told. And for our question of the day, go ahead and put down what hippie product is your favorite down below. Mine is AJ herself. Thanks for watching. See you next week.